Thanks, Candace. I'm joined here with Parker Kitts, the president of the Emory Activity Board. Thank you for joining me, Parker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know that you've had a pretty busy semester, to say the least. I guess the whole activity board with events about or consistently every week.
Yeah,
sometimes
that's right.
2 to maybe 3.
Absolutely, yeah.
Was that a response from the students or the administration, or was just EBE succeeding so well last semester that you felt that moving to every event every week schedule was?
Yeah. It was a sprinkling of everything. We're actually a ton more efficient this semester. We transitioned how we've structured ourselves in regards to how we plan our events, using a whole lot more general membership input. And they're really in the weeds now with like contract negotiations and things like that. So it took a lot of weight off of the top of the organization onto the bottom. So we were able to plan a ton more in a much shorter amount of time.
Well, it seems like it. And how is the attendance for most of the events, particularly focusing on the off-campus events with the formal coming up? Have those been pretty successful thus far?
Yeah, they have been. Of course, midnight premieres are always a hot event to attend. We're really excited to have Mulan this semester. It's actually coming up in a couple of weeks. We debuted a Hall Skateland this semester. That was new for us. That was fairly well attended. And then we've got the formal coming up pretty soon.
Well, diving into that formal a little bit. Now, I know a bit of history is that there used to be a formal offered at Emory and Henry campus. Do you know if that was part of the activities board, or was it a separate entity back when it was offered originally?
No, it was always been us. It's always been the activities board, whether it was the campus activities board or the Emory activities board. It has been going on since about the 60s, and it's just kind of faded away in the super early 2000s.
So do you think there's a bit of that nostalgia factor of people looking back on their high school days and remembering how much fun formals were? Yeah,
absolutely. And ironically, the last formal that was put on was also a 1920s themed formal. So we really are just starting back where we left off.
I mean, fitting for the given year as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can some people expect from in differing from what we might expect from a high school formal, or maybe adhering to it? What can people expect from the EBE formal or the spring 2020 theme formal? Sponsored by EBE.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be somewhat like you'd expect it to be. We're going to have a spring court. It was actually once called the May court, but we are not really sure why, because it never happened in May. So we've redone it for the spring court. We're going to have a king and queen, and this is actually going to be the very first year that we also have a king on the spring court. It traditionally was only a queen.
Really?
So we have that going on. And then something that's different than most people don't expect, we're going to have a speakeasy also. It's going to be separate from the grand ballroom in the Martha. You're going to have an EBE escort to go there. There's going to be a secret knock, and once you actually get into the speakeasy, you're going to have the opportunity for poker games, mocktails, and it's going to be as authentic as we can make it.
To the 20s as possible. Well, that's very cool. And I know you, speaking about that spring court, there's been emails sent out to the student body for nominating, as well as, I believe, song suggestions.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think first it's really cool that you're letting students put their input. Has there been a lot of participation on those polls thus far? Or?
Yeah, we've had more participation than I had anticipated. You always want to give the opportunity. Not always do people use that kind of opportunity, but we've had a really successful turnout with those events and those forums.
Awesome. One quick question about the formal. Since it's off campus, are there going to be rides offered to students from EBE itself, or is it going to be a carpool with your friends type event?
Yeah, it's going to be a carpool with your friends kind of transportation.
Okay.
It's very much like our midnight premieres. You guys are responsible for your own transportation with that.
Fair. And with hosting it at the Martha Washington, if I'm correct, what made you decide to do it off campus? I mean, admittedly, the Martha Washington there is a lot fancier than our own humble Mawa, but did you entertain the idea of having some sort of formal on campus, or was it always intended to be off campus?
Yeah, we entertained the idea, but once we decided on the theme of the 1920s, since we've just entered the 2020s, we thought, what better place than one of the most iconic places of the 1920s at the Martha Washington.
Great point. Well, that's really awesome. And one question about, because I know you're graduating this coming semester, and you've been president for two years now?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about leaving EBE, and are you confident that any prodigies are going to arise? And
Yeah, I'm confident in the organization that I'm leaving behind. It's definitely a little bit better. It's a little bit more structured than what I found it. And I'm confident that the people that continue past me will continue to succeed and to push the organization farther than what I can imagine.
Well, I don't know if you can do more than 3 events per week, but I'm excited to see what the future holds for it. And I'm very excited about the formal coming up this Saturday.
This Saturday, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock at the Martha.
Doors open, yep.
Awesome. Well, Parker, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely, David.
And now tossing it over to Luke with the sports update.